Start.
Hello student, welcome back to my YouTube video. I'm here with new video with new chapter, that is electromagnetic induction. In this chapter we have to follow these topics. Topics are magnetic flux, Faraday's experiment, Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, Lenz's law and law of conservation of energy, expression for induced EMF based on both laws, methods of producing induced EMF by changing magnetic flux, by changing the area of the coil, by changing the relative orientation of the coil with magnetic field, AD currents, self-inductance and self-induction, mutual induction and mutual inductance. Okay, we will discuss all these topics one by one and you will get the all videos of this chapter one by one. So let's start this video by recalling some topics that you have learned in previous chapter. So in first unit electrostatic, we have started with the concept of electric field and charge, where we have studied that about the properties of charges and which produce electric field, and we studied that when the another charge come in this field, it experiences a force, and value of this force is given by F equal to QE. And in the next second chapter, we learned about capacitance and electrostatic potential. And third chapter, in current electricity, where charge move, it constitute electric current. And in fourth chapter, magnetism and magnetic current, we have seen that moving charges produce magnetic field. The question arises, can moving magnet produce electric current? That is, does nature permit such a symmetrical relation between electricity and magnetism? The answer is yes. The experiment of Michael Faraday in UK and Henry in USA established around the year 1813 that electric current were induced in closed coils when subjected to changing magnetic field. This phenomenon of generating current EMF by changing magnetic field is called electromagnetic induction. The EMF so developed is called induced EMF. If the current is in the form of closed circuit, the current flows in the circuit, this is called induced current. So let's start this chapter with first topic, magnetic flux. So what is magnetic flux? Magnetic flux through any surface is the number of magnetic lines of force passing normally through that surface. Okay, magnetic flux through any surface held in a magnetic field is measured by total number of magnetic field lines of force crossing that surface. It can also be defined as the product of area of surface and the component of magnetic field normal to that surface. See in this figure, consider a surface of area ds, magnetic field in this direction and normal vector is n. The component of magnetic field normal to that surface is given by b cos theta. So magnetic flux is d phi equal to b dot ds, or we can write bd as cos theta, where n is normal vector. Direction of ds is along the normal to the surface and n is unit normal vector. D phi equal to b ds cos theta. Okay. D phi is b ds cos theta. Phi equal to b dot b into a cos theta. So what is the positive flux? When flux will be positive? We can say if the theta between 0 to 90 degree and 20 to 70 degree to 360 degree, flux will be positive. Okay, when the magnetic field is touching the surface tangentially, if magnetic field is touching the surface tangentially, so phi will be 0. Here theta is 90 degree. Okay, So when will be zero flux? Magnetic flux is zero for theta is 90 degree and theta is 270 degree. In previous case, we have discussed about the positive magnetic flux when theta is 0 degree to theta is between 0 to 90 degree or 270 to 360 degree. It will be positive. And when theta is 90 degree or it is 270 degree, flux is 0. I hope this is clear to you. If when magnetic field is touching surface normally, see if magnetic field is touching surface normally like this. Magnetic field is this and surface is this. If we draw normal vector theta between normal vector and magnetic field is 90 degree. It is 90 degree. So here cos 90 is 0. We can write phi is 0. Okay. When magnetic field is normal to the surface, when magnetic field is normal to surface, these are magnetic field lines and magnetic field is normal to surface. Surface is like this. When we draw aerial vector on this surface, the angle between aerial vector and magnetic field lines is 0. So cos 0 is 1, flux is maximum. Flux will be B into A. I hope this point is clear to you. Negative magnetic flux. Negative flux when theta is between 90 degree or 270 degree. Flux is maximum when theta is 0 degree and it is B dot B into A as I told you in. Okay, so flux is positive, flux is negative and flux is 0. When the flux is positive, it will be positive when the theta is between 0 to 90 degree or 270 to 360 degree. And it will be 0 when theta is 90 degree or 270 degree. And it will be negative when theta is between 90 to 270 degree. So flux is given by phi equal to B into A cos theta. Magnetic flux across a coil can be changed by the strength of magnetic field. If the field is changed, magnetic flux is changed. If the area of the coil is changed, magnetic flux is also changed. If the orientation of the coil is changed, magnetic flux is changed. So how the flux change? When strength of magnetic field change, area of cross section of the coil, orientation of the coil with magnetic field theta or any of the combination of the above. I hope this is clear to you. Now magnetic flux is a scalar quantity. SI unit of magnetic flux is Weber or Tesla into meter square or Weber or Tesla into Tm square. CGS unit of magnetic flux is Maxwell. 1 Maxwell is equal to 10 raised to power minus 8 Weber. Magnetic flux associated normally per unit area is called magnetic flux density or strength of magnetic field or magnetic induction. Okay. I hope this is clear to you. When a body present in uniform or non-uniform magnetic field, outward flux is taken to be positive while inward flux taken as negative. Let's talk about Faraday's experiment. To understanding electromagnetic induction is based on a series of experiments carried out by Faraday's law. Some of the important experiments are described below. For this is first experiment of Faraday's. In this experiment, there is a coil which is connected to galvanometer and a bar magnet Okay. So coil or loop of a few tons of a conducting material insulating from another, it is connected to sensitive galvanometer. Faraday and Henry observed that when north pole of a bar magnet is pushed toward the coil. Here, north pole of bar magnet pushed towards the coil. See in this figure. North pole of bar magnet pushed towards the in this, when north pole of bar magnet is pushed towards the coil, the galvanometer shows deflection. Okay, indicating that current is induced in the coil. The galvanometer deflection is temporary. It lasts as long as the bar magnet is in motion. There is no deflection when the bar magnet is held stationary. Okay, so when the bar magnet is moved away from the coil, the galvanometer shows deflection in opposite direction. As we have seen in this diagram, when we push the north pole of the bar magnet, galvanometer shows that deflection is right side. When we are taking this bar magnet away from this coil, it is deflected in other direction. Okay, so when south pole of bar magnet is moved, when south pole of bar magnet is moved towards or away from the coil, the galvanometer deflections are opposite to those observed with the north pole of for similar movement. I hope this is clear to you. Okay. The galvanometer deflection is found to be larger when magnet is pushed towards or pulled away from the coil faster. When the bar is held stationary and coil C is moved towards or away from the magnet, the same facts are observed. It shows that relative motion between the coil and magnet is responsible for induction of electric current in the coil. I hope this is clear to you. In this experiment, he observed that magnetic flux linked with the coil changes relative to position of the coil and magnet due to the magnetic lines of force cutting at a different angles at the same cross-sectional area of the coil. Clear? So he observed that the relative motion between coil and magnet induce polarities of magnetism in the coil, the direction of current through the galvanometer and hence the deflection in the galvanometer, and that the induced current is available only as long as there is a relative motion between coil and the magnet. Okay, from this experiment, Faraday observed that the relative motion between coil and a magnet induced polarities of magnetism in coil, direction of the current through a galvanometer and hence the deflection in galvanometer, that the induced current is available only as long as there is a relative motion between coil and the magnet. Quote, the coil can be moved by fixing the magnet. Both the coil and the magnet can be moved towards each other or away from each other. That is, there must be a relative velocity between them. Magnetic flux linked with the coil changes relative to position of the coil and the magnet. And the current and hence the deflection is large if the relative velocity between the coil and the magnet and hence the rate of change of flux across the coil is more. Now this is Faraday's second experiment. In this experiment, he took two coils. One coil is connected to galvanometer and other one is connected to battery. Okay. In this experiment, we have two coil P and S. One coil P is connected to battery while other coil S is connected to galvanometer. Okay, when current flows through coil P, the galvanometer in coil S shows deflection. Okay, when coil S is moved towards the coil, the galvanometer shows the deflection. This indicates the electric current is induced in coil. When coil is moved away from the coil P, the galvanometer shows a deflection in opposite direction. This indicates that direction of current induced in coil C is reversed. The deflection is temporary. It lasts so long as there is a relative motion between two coils. So the galvanometer deflection is found to be larger when the coil moved faster towards or away from each other. So from this, we observe that coil S carrying current in experiment and in experiment 2 behaves as a bar magnet in experiment first. I hope this is clear to you. Okay. In this experiment, relative motion between coil and a bar magnet produce induced current, and in experiment 1, relative motion between bar magnet and coil produce induced current. Okay. Through the present experiment, Faraday shows that a relative motion is not an absolute requirement. Current can be induced even without relative motion between coils. So in this figure, we see that we have two coils, P and S, held stationary. Coil P is connected to sensitive, coil S is connected to sensitive galvanometer, and while coil P is connected to battery through a key. When key is pressed, galvanometer in coil S shows a deflection, indicating that current is induced in coil P. The pointer in galvanometer, however, returns to 0 immediately. When the correct key K is kept pressed continuously, there is no deflection. Okay? In the galvanometer, when the key is released, the galvanometer shows again a momentary deflection, but in opposite direction. The pointer in the galvanometer returns to 0 almost instantly. The galvanometer deflection increases dramatically when an iron rod is inserted into the coil along their axis. So from this, we observe that when the primary circuit is closed, current grows from 0 to maximum value. During this period, changing the current induced changing magnetic flux across the primary coil. This changing magnetic flux is linked across the secondary coil and induces EMF in secondary coil. Induced EMF and hence deflection in galvanometer lasts only as long as the current in the primary coil, and hence the magnetic flux in secondary coil change. I hope this point is clear to you. So from this, we observe that when primary circuit is open, current decreases as from maximum value to 0. During this period, changing current induces changing magnetic flux across the primary coil. This changing magnetic flux is linked across the secondary coil and induces current in secondary coil. However, note that the direction of current in secondary coil is reversed, and hence the deflection in galvanometer is opposite to the previous case. So from this, we have Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. So from understanding about Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, just find out the cause of induced EMF. So from the experiment, we find that an EMF is induced in a coil when an amount of magnetic flux linked with the coil changes with the time. All observation in these three experiments can be explained in terms of this concept. In first experiment, motion of bar magnet towards or away from coil changes magnetic flux linked with the coil. In experiment 2, relative motion between coil and current carrying coil again changes the magnetic flux linked with the coil. In either case, an EMF is induced in coil. It is this induced EMF which causes electric current in the coil, and galvanometer shows some deflects. And in third experiment, when the tapping key is pressed, the current in coil increases from 0 to maximum. Therefore, resulting magnetic field of coil increases from 0 to maximum. Consequently, the magnetic flux linked with the neighboring coil also increases. It is this change in magnetic flux linked with the coil that induces EMF in the coil. When key is kept pressed, current in coil is constant. Therefore, there is no change in magnetic flux linked with the coil. Therefore, current induced in coil drops to 0. Okay, so all experimental observation lead us to conclude that induced EMF appears in a coil whenever the amount of magnetic flux linked with the coil changes. I hope this is clear to you. So let's talk about Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. Okay. First law says, whenever there is a change in magnetic flux linked with the circuit, an EMF and hence a current is induced in circuit. However, it lasts only so long as the magnetic flux is changing. Second law, the magnitude of induced EMF is directly proportional to rate of change of magnetic flux. I hope this is clear to you. What is Faraday's experiment and how he find out Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. So from Faraday's first law, whenever there is a change in magnetic flux linked with the circuit, and EMF and hence a current is induced in the circuit. However, it lasts only so long as the magnetic flux is changing. The magnitude of induced EMF is directly proportional to rate of change of magnetic flux linked with the circuit, which is given by E is directly proportional to d phi over dt. E equal to k d phi over dt, or A equal to d phi over dt. Or we can write E equal to phi 2 minus phi 1 upon t, where k is constant and unit are chosen such that k equal to 1. So after completing these two topics, here are some problems related to this topic, magnetic flux. First problem is magnetic field of a flux density 1 Weber per meter square acts normal to a 80 turns coil of 0.01 meter square area. Find the EMF induced in it if this coil is removed from the field in 0.1 second. Find the magnitude of EMF induced in 200 turns coil with a cross-sectional area 0.16 meter square if the magnetic field through the coil changes from 0.10 Weber per meter square to 0.30 Weber per meter square at a uniform rate over a period of 0.05 seconds. Next question is, find the EMF induced in a coil of 200 turns and cross-sectional area 0.2 meters square when the magnetic field perpendicular to the plane of the coil changes from 0.1 Weber per meter square to 0.5 Weber per meter square at a uniform rate over a period of 0.05 seconds. Okay, so these are some problems related to this topic. Solve these problems so that you can understand the concept of this topic. So in next video, we will discuss topic Lenz law. Thank you.